Yellow Brick War, Chapter 22. Dorothy looked even worse than she had when I'd seen her in Kansas, as though she couldn't suck magic out of the ground fast enough to keep herself going. Her dress was still in tatters, and she'd painted on her mechanical smile with a garish red lipstick that looked like a bloody sash across her face. Her shoes blazed with red light, but she wasn't the scariest thing we faced anymore. Not by a long shot. That honor fell to her steed, a three-headed monster the size of a truck. It was covered in sharp-edged reptilian scales. Behind it swung a long tail crowned in a bristle of spikes. Its legs ended in paws with huge separated claws. The teeth in each of its three mouths were as long as my forearm. It threw back first one head, then another, and then a third, and roared, and then I spotted a red velveteen ribbon around each of its thick, muscular necks. "Oh my God," I gasped. "That's Toto." That is, something that had been Toto, but this Toto was like the roid rage version of Dorothy's little dog, twisted and terrifying. At Dorothy's back was yet another army, this one made up of the Tin Men's gruesome hybrid creations. Creatures lurched and hopped, brandishing arms and legs that ended in spikes and saws and pincers. Some rolled along on bicycle wheels, others bounded on all fours, but their bodies were replaced by metal torsos. Most of them looked like they'd been pieced together in a hurry. Bloody wounds seeped fluid where jagged metal edges met living flesh, and some of them limped or dragged themselves along, their blank faces showing no sign that they were in pain, but the trail of blood they left behind them suggested otherwise. Dorothy, seated astride Toto's broad back, laughed out loud. "Did you miss me?" she called. "It's so good to see you again, Amy. All my friends in one place." Her eyes flicked upward to Glinda and Glamora, who paused their battle and hung there watching her. "Dorothy," Glinda called. I thought I heard a hint of panic in her voice. She hadn't expected Dorothy to find us so quickly. She was hoping she could take us out first, I realized. Glinda wasn't strong enough to face the wicked and Dorothy at the same time. "I'm so disappointed to see your army here," Dorothy said. "It's like you're going behind my back, Glinda, and you know I just hate secrets, unless they belong to me." "Dorothy, you don't understand," Glinda began, but before the words were out of her mouth, Glinda pointed her finger and shot a fireball directly at the hovering witch. Glinda spun and dodged, her wand at the ready. "No, I don't think so," Glinda said coldly. "I'm the Queen of Oz, Glinda. Have you forgotten? Any army that acts without my command is acting against me, and you know what I do to traitors." Toto snarled, rearing his scale-plated hind legs as his huge claws dug into the earth. "Forward!" Dorothy screamed, and her army surged ahead to meet Glinda's. Dorothy's awful, zombie-like soldiers cut and hacked mechanically at the mass of identical girls. They might look ragged, but they were terrifying. Dead-eyed and robotic, they kept swinging even as Glinda's soldiers cut them into pieces. I watched in horror as a girl beheaded one of Dorothy's minions. The creature's body advanced relentlessly, chopping away with paws that ended in a bristle of jagged, rusty knives. I turned my head away, not wanting to see the rest. For the moment, the four of us were sheltered by the rock that had hidden Pete and Ozma, but it was only a matter of seconds before both armies tore us apart. There were too many of them for Nox and me to possibly be able to fight off. Toto reared against his leash and landed with a thump that shook the ground. Dorothy was almost on top of us. Without thinking, I grabbed Nox's hand, and his fingers tightened around mine. "Amy," he said low and urgent, "I just want you to know. I want you to understand that I—" His voice caught, and my eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry I couldn't save Oz." He drew me into him so tightly it knocked the wind out of me. "I'm sorry too," he said, and then he kissed me in a way that made my knees buckle until I kissed him back even harder. A kiss about the end of the world. A kiss about the end of the world. A kiss that said goodbye, and I'm sorry, and I wish things could have been different. A kiss full of longing for the life we've never have together. The things we've never knew about each other, but it wasn't long enough. It couldn't be. We were about to die. Knox broke away and I raised my knife as Glinda's soldiers surged on. Lo, Ozma trilled next to my ear, tugging at my sleeve, and I jumped back. Lo, 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 she said urgently. I didn't have time to figure out what Ozma wanted. The girl soldier nearest me raised her spear and brought up my knife to deflect it, but then her piercing howl of triumph ended in a scream as a mass of something sticky, flaming, and unbelievably foul-smelling hit her squarely in the face. What the? Pete began. Lo! Ozma shouted, pointing upward. We all looked, not understanding what we were singing, until Knox whooped aloud as comprehension dawned. The monkeys, he cried. It's the monkeys. Lulu, Ozma shouted in joy as the monkeys descended.